your only all-local morning news. Fox 2 News Morning starts now.
Good morning, I'm Dana Whyte. Two people are shot outside a Citgo gas station in Detroit. One of the victims is a 69-year-old woman, the other a 23-year-old man. Cracked floors, shaky steps, and uneven cabinets. One woman moved into this home looking for the American dream, but clearly that's not the case. Hello everyone, I'm Dana Whyte, and this is a new Central 34 Netcast. It is the eve of Election Day, and both candidates are still campaigning here in our Mitten state. A man was caught on camera forcing a child to steal candy from this local gas station, and now the owner is putting up a $500 reward to catch this bad guy. When Lamont is on campus, he usually speaks in front of classrooms like this one, but the biggest way he reaches his audience is right here. Living in Michigan, many drivers get frustrated seeing construction on the side of the road. Ever since the city of Flint switched over to this river, it has caused a burden on so many residents, but they are finally happy to get some input from the state. A 23-year-old man from Durand was stabbed here at Deerfield Apartments in Mount Pleasant this past Sunday. Police are still searching for the suspect, but without the help of one CMU student, they may have had a harder time. It was just a normal night for CMU junior Justin Metropolis until
all of a sudden people outside started screaming. So we all went outside and there was a kid running around with holding his underneath his rib cage.
The victim suffered from a stab wound to the abdomen with possible internal organ damage.
Everyone was like, don't call the cops. People call the cops. Nobody call the cops. It was kind of back and forth and they didn't want the cops called.
Metropolis followed his gut and did call police, but his efforts didn't stop there.
I was so scared. I was shocked.
The incident happened outside of a party just after midnight. After the stabbing, Metropolis tried to calm the victim down.
We need to lay you on the ground. We'll get pressure. 911's on the way. And as soon as he heard 911, and the sirens kind of pulled the corner right when I said 911. So he saw that and just kind of ran.
About an hour later, police found the victim behind another apartment building.
We were able to locate the victim, who had a stab wound in his abdomen and was bleeding. He was obviously transported right to the hospital.
Even though Metropolis has never been through something like this before, he knows what he did was right.
I had to do talk to 911, and that's a different thing to do. You don't do that every day.
The suspect fled the scene wearing a dark blue button-up shirt, and police asked that if you saw anything, to call the Isabella County Sheriff's Office right away. In Mount Pleasant, Dana Whyte, News Central 34. With final season coming up, CMU students are worried about exams, papers, and everything in between. But some say that there's one thing many forget to make a priority: mental health.
I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression when I was in middle school.
Brandon Edwards is a senior at CMU and has a long history battling with mental health.
Some days that there isn't a problem, and then there's some days where I just can't get out of bed, no matter how hard I try.
These struggles almost cost Edwards his life.
In 8th grade, I had a suicide attempt in school. It was in class. I feel like that was my boiling point where I needed help and I needed to get it fast.
Even though Edwards has overcome the worst, he knows the daily responsibilities in college play a huge part in his current stress. He's turned to counseling to help him out.
I think the counseling center is amazing. It's a free service and I have used it a few times and it's really helped for me personally.
Dr. Terry McGlasson is a professor for counseling at CMU and urges students who are having a hard time to reach out in any way they can.
Stress in and of itself is not necessarily destructive or the problem. It's what we do or don't do about it.
McGlasson thinks that there's a stigma with mental health that forces people to bottle up their feelings.
We don't talk about these things. I see my dentist every 6 months for checkup. I see my doctor once a year. I do those things not because I'm sick, but because I want to stay healthy and well. We do not have the same approach to mental health.
According to the National Alliance of Mental Illness, 75% of all mental health conditions begin by the age of 24, which is prime college time. McGlasson says these problems are nothing to be ashamed of.
There's nothing wrong with experiencing stress. It's part of the college experience.
Edwards believes the best way to overcome these hardships are to talk about them, and don't keep them to yourself.
Just find someone who you can talk to. It can be a family member, a friend, a faculty member, anyone.
In Mount Pleasant, Dana Whyte, News Central 34.
Jesus said, it's not what goes into the mouth and comes out. You know what I said before? but it goes with the eyes and the ears, it goes into the heart.
For 24 years, Preacher Rick has been coming to CMU to share his beliefs on abortion and the LGBTQ community. But today, CMU junior Brent Gunn has had enough.
I'm fine with religious organizations coming on trying to spread a positive message and get people involved in their faith, but this isn't that.
Gunn believes that speaking up is important for the campus to do.
We've had some people come by and be like, why are you even talking to him? We're talking to him because if you don't address oppressive forces, the oppressive forces are going to continue.
Preacher Rick thinks that students are causing their own problems and he has nothing to do with it.
I believe that students are walking on a Titanic and Jesus Christ is a true lifeboat.
Even though some students like Gunn take offense to what Preacher Rick says, he claims that he's only focused on spreading the truth.
I have no hatred towards anybody on this campus, whether gay, whether they aborted a baby. I'm just trying to give them the truth.
Although Gunn doesn't like this situation, he's glad that CMU is coming together to fight.
It makes me sad, but it also makes me really hopeful that there's a bunch of people, straight, gay, black, white, of every persuasion out here challenging this.
In Mount Pleasant, Dana Whyte, News Central 34.